What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about MicroStrategy today, MSTR. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. It is the 14th of July. Here you are, 3 hours, 14 minutes left in the day, up 2.2%. Yes, it's a red day, but it's a green day, right? It just where you opened was green, and where you are now is lower than that. That's why it looks red, but it's green overall because you're up 2.2%, right? $444. Nice to see. If you can close today here, or let's even see, actually, is this? Yeah, I would say as long as you're closing above Friday's close, you should be getting into the overbought zone, and that's good. Whenever you get into the overbought zone on the daily time frame, you tend to get some continued bullish price action, right? Like here, when you got overbought, you continue to move up for a couple of weeks, right? Whenever you got overbought here, that was the beginning of this kind of overall move. And I would actually more relate what's going on here with this RSI to what happened over here personally, less so this, right? This was a little bit of stagnation at its finest, and now you're starting to move up again. I'd very much expect that everything is on cue for MSTR, for strategy, MicroStrategy, whatever you want to call it, to move up to new all-time highs here by the end of the month of July. We're looking for targets in August now, right? It's been a while since we talked about MSTR, but it will likely be the end of August, I think, that Bitcoin tops off. MSTR and BTC don't really top off at the same time. Sometimes MSTR tops off before, sometimes it tops off after. Tomato, tomato, whatever. I'm expecting Bitcoin to top off in like the late part of July, or sorry, August, late part, right? Like the 18th to the 25th, somewhere in that kind of time frame. So just after the halfway point there, if not toward the end of the month. So with that, MSTR could top off, the middle part of August, the beginning of August, the late part of August, even September. It could top off really. And the next target area that we're considering is all the way up here at about $1,100 to $1,000. I would even say $1,700, something that's even above this 2272 here. And we've got these fib targets to demonstrate that. But if we go through and we look at the whole history of this cycle so far, we touch back and or touch base. I don't know what the word would be. We look back and see how our performance has been. Damn it, I just can't talk. From a high here, come on now, high here to a low there. We went all the way up to our 1618 here, and then came down and found support at the 1272. Inevitably, really, like this move didn't stop until you hit the 2618. You see, right? The little consolidation phase is here, but your real consolidation phase happened at the 2618. Okay, that was the beginning of the bull market, slow start, but then boom, that was the end of your move, right there at the 2618, all the way up there. Okay, and look at that. You also found resistance at the 1618, 1618, 2618. A little bit of serendipity there, perhaps. We take the next one, this cycle, or this consolidation phase is high to the low, and you went all the way above the 2272, okay? Not really any significance at the 1618 there. Maybe a support afterwards, but not really any significance. You're finding support at the 1886 now. I would expect maybe you find some resistance at 604, because that is your 2618 here, and you're showing significance still. But I'm not thinking it's going to weigh too much. I think you will pass that, right? I don't think you'll stop at 604, maybe momentarily, but not too much. Isn't it crazy? Maybe it's not so crazy, the way that the fibs work. And it's not always like this. Don't treat this as if this is how it has to be every time. But notice right here, resistance at the 1618. That's where he stopped, was the 2618. Okay, 1618, 2618. Little serendipity there. We take the high here. We go all the way up. Okay, come on. I was so close. High there. Put it at the low right here. And we find resistance at the 2272 to find support at the 1272. Isn't it funny how that works? It's rather serendipitous, man. High to low here. All I'm saying by all this, all we're doing so far is gauging what we've done in the past. So far we've seen prices that are above the 2272 and as high as the 2618. So really, calling for 1100 to 1700, I feel like is on the lower end of the expectations, where 2100 might even be the target. MicroStrategy might just go ballistic, you guys. The thing is, though, there are a lot of companies, and MSTR is the best, right? It's the one, as far as this Bitcoin adoption, Bitcoin banking, custodialized stock goes, whatever. As far as this goes, they're the Titan. They're the Mac Daddy. They're the OG that did this, right? But there are a lot of other ones now. There are a lot of other copycats and clones coming out and doing the same thing, right? And even for other altcoins or other cryptocurrencies besides just Bitcoin, right? So there's attention that could potentially have been driven to MSTR for the speculative traditional market play to get into crypto and get involved with crypto while investing in the traditional market sense as well. Now that's being taken away in the form of companies doing this for Ethereum or Solana or TRX or other cryptos that this is going on for, or other Bitcoin companies too. So there might be less demand. I'm thinking, and there will always be demand. MSTR is the Titan. It's the Mac Daddy. But I don't know if we go to the 2618. And I think, again, going with the idea that we see a little bit lower of a target might actually make a lot of sense. $1,100, $1,800, something in that area there. We can make sense out of it more than just that, right? Just thinking logically. Maybe that's logical. Maybe that's pessimistic. I don't know. But so far, what we can at least say, if I can stop stuttering, is 1,600 to 2,100 seems pretty appropriate so far, just based off of how we've performed this cycle, right? We're going to make some sense out of this area here. Okay, we're going to do that real quick. And actually, you know what? I think after this next part, we're actually going to make even more sense of this 16. Maybe I should just accept 16 to 2,100 is where we're going to go. Hear me out. Ready? So we're going to do Bitcoin here, Bitcoin chart, and we're going to compare it to MSTR. Okay, so BTC USD. We'll do the all-time history index, sure. And then MicroStrategy here on the NASDAQ. Bam. Okay. This chart is how like MSTR, this is priced in dollars. Now this is, I'm sorry, we're doing Bitcoin priced in MSTR. I want to do MSTR priced in Bitcoin. My bad. My bad, you guys. I did it backwards. I do that sometimes. Division, it always gets me. I don't know why. But I always do it backwards first. MSTR priced in dollars. This is MSTR priced in Bitcoins. Okay, so one share of MicroStrategy at $445 is worth 0.0037 Bitcoins. One share of MSTR is equal to that many Bitcoins. Does that make sense? Okay, if we look at this chart, we might be able to deduce where this chart goes for its next high and calculate that into what the price might be for MSTR given the perceived outcome of Bitcoin as well. Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. Let me just make sense out of it. Okay, hold on. All right. You've got this first off, very beautiful accumulative pattern, Adam and a deep Eve. Okay, this is a beautiful double bottoming pattern. It is a double bottom, and it's a perfect, look up Adam and Eve. It's a bit accentuated, I would say. It's a little bit elongated. I don't know, it's accentuated. Is that the right word? Elongated is definitely the right word. Let's learn some language here. Define accentuate. Accentuate, yeah, sure. Even the fact, cause and offense. Okay, so no, it's not accentuate. I like to think, I pride myself on my vocabulary, but that's not accentuate. That's not the right word, no. But extend, elongate, yes. Even though this is an elongated Adam and Eve pattern, okay, it's still an Adam and Eve pattern. Absolutely it is. It's perfect. Or maybe you can even say it's a cup with handle. It could be a cup with handle. Adam and Eve's, oftentimes, they are actually cup and handles. One thing's for certain, or one thing is likely, I should say. Nothing's certain. You never know. But you've got higher lows and higher highs. You're likely, when you break out, not going to stop here. So where's the next stopping point? Where are you going to stop if you don't stop there? I would think that you go all the way up here to this area of prior support / prior resistance right here, somewhere right in this, whoops, let's move it up a little bit more. Right in this zone here. Right around 1% of a Bitcoin. Maybe 0.0086 of a Bitcoin, okay? Something in that zone. Now let's calculate this out. Let's think about this. Let's think this through. BTC USD, if you're with me in assuming that Bitcoin will go to new all-time highs continuously throughout the rest of this month and going into August, I'm under the impression that the next target that we go to, if you guys hear any screaming, that's just my 3-year-old daughter. Hi to low. I think she's singing actually. It all sounds the same. 173K would be the next target, the golden ratio here. And oftentimes Bitcoin likes to wick just above there. So I'm thinking Bitcoin goes to 180K. But as I said in the beginning of the video, MSTR and Bitcoin don't top off at the same time. So if Bitcoin tops off at 180 or 190, MSTR is going to top off when Bitcoin's at 160 or 140 or maybe 175, something like that. So we've got the price, the perceived outcome for BTC, MSTR to BTC. If we take this high to low here, okay, come on, give me the low. That's right there at the golden ratio and the 1886 area. That's a perfect area, I think, to consider for the highs. It doesn't really make sense that we'd stop anywhere lower, at least not in my opinion. But it could happen. You never know. But just looking at this current trend, breaking out above this, I would think you go to 1%. Who cares what I would think, but I would think you go above 1%, okay? Let's do Google Calculator, okay? Google Calculator. Google Calculator. And we don't need this anymore. I'm just going to pull up the Doge chart because I do have a trade active with that. I like to monitor it as it goes on. It's nice. It makes me level-headed to some degree. Takes the edge off. If I don't have it, I'm going to get foaming at the mouth. You guys don't want to see that. You wouldn't like me when I'm foaming at the mouth. MSTR to BTC at a 0086 Bitcoin price, okay? So 0086 at the minimum, right? That's the accepted, in my opinion, that's the accepted minimum. Let's even lower it. Let's do 0076, okay? We can do all these. We'll take our time. 0076. Why 0076? Because that's where the 1414 is, and typically you actually do go just above the 1414. You don't stop at that, but let's be conservative. 0076. Let's say Bitcoin tops off at 180 exactly, so then MSTR tops off maybe when Bitcoin's at 160K. Let's just say that. 1, 2, 3. Okay, right there. That would give us a price of about $1,200, which lines up very well with this range, this range that we could stop at, the 1886 to 200. Remember, 2618, 2272, that's been the area we stopped at so far with all these extensions. Now there's a little bit more saturation in the market for companies and stocks like MicroStrategy. It might make sense that you see less growth in that response. Does that make sense? But still new all-time highs nonetheless, and something spectacular. This is on the low end of things. Okay, this is on the low end of things. Let's go. Let's kick it up a notch. We'll do, let's say again 0.0076. Maybe Bitcoin goes above 180K. And MSTR tops off when Bitcoin is, in fact, at 180K. Let's just do that. That'd be about $1,300. Okay, so that'll be a little bit above this area here, and that doesn't really make sense. I would think you either stop here or you're going to stop here. So 1,300 to me doesn't make as much sense, but okay, maybe if it tops off and Bitcoin's at that level. Now we're going to do 0086, right? 0086 here, 0086, and we'll multiply it by the same numbers. 160 gives us a $1,300 price. Okay, 0086 times, let's say 180, assuming Bitcoin does go above 180 even, $1,500, okay? $1,500 takes us just below this 2272, and again, it's less common to stop in this area. It's more common to stop either here or here. Now let's do what I think is going to happen, right? If we're moving up, I think psychologically speaking, and maybe you, whoever you are watching this, if this is the first time you've ever seen MicroStrategy compared to BTC on a chart, maybe you don't analyze this stuff. But the real analysts in the world, the people on Wall Street, the people who know what they're doing, and I'm not trying to insult you. So if you're new, you don't know about this stuff. This might be the first time you've ever seen this chart. It's not that sophisticated, but that's my whole point. It's not that sophisticated. And the sophisticated minds in the space, the economists and the analysts of the TA world, of the crypto and stock world, they're probably comparing MSTR to Bitcoin just like this. And they know, just like I know, that it wouldn't really make sense to stop here. It would make more sense to go to that psychological level of 1%, right? We're human beings. Psychology applies to markets all the time. 1% is a very psychological level. It's like stopping at 100K for Bitcoin. That was a psychological level of resistance. Not really. It was more like 110K and like 98K, but tomato, whatever. Whenever we had the 2017 cycle, it was 20K that we stopped at. Last cycle, it was 69K, right? Which isn't really psychological resistance. It's a bit of an innuendo, but that or just a moment of serendipity, comedy, whatever you want to call it. But it's these rounded numbers that things like to stop off at. Normally, not always, but there's a little psychological resistance there. And it might not be perfect, but in that area, 1% to me makes a lot more sense. Stopping at 1%, that's a very feasible area. Prior areas of support, prior areas of resistance right there, 1%. Let's just say it stops at 1% of a Bitcoin, okay? So 1% of a Bitcoin times, well, I don't really need to do this, but we'll just do it anyways, 160K. That would give us a $1,600 price, okay? $1,600 price is right there at the 2272, which the 2272 to 2618 area is exactly where we've gone before. Now, if Bitcoin does go above 180K, MSTR, let's say Bitcoin goes to 190K and MSTR tops off and Bitcoin's at 180K, we do 0.1 times 180K, that'd be $1,800. Again, illustrating the idea that we could stop somewhere in this area here. And that makes a lot of sense to me. I doubt that we go to $2,100. The only way that I could see that happening is if MSTR to Bitcoin goes above 1%, but I don't think that's going to happen. It could happen, but I'm not perceiving that. At the most, let's just say that the given minimum, okay, for MSTR is so far about $1,200 from what we could do, and the given maximum, even without the calculations, would be $2,100. But the most likely area, I think, would be something between $1,300 and $1,700. That's probably the most likely area that we're going to go to. Which, to be fair, the 2272 to 2618 is exactly where we stopped this whole cycle so far. So that's where I think we'll go by the end of August. It's worth $447 now. I got nothing else for you guys. If it's not the end of August, it could be the middle of August, the beginning of August, the beginning of September, because they don't top off at the same time. If they do top off at the same time, that'd be perfect, because that's not what I'm expecting. But here, MSTR topped off in November, Bitcoin topped off January 20th, right? Here, MSTR topped off in March 2024. I don't know. Did BTC top off in that area too? Probably not. I think it topped off a little bit after, right? March 2024. We topped off, yes, March 11th, 2024. MSTR topped off March 25th, that week. And even so, probably even like the beginning of April. I guess, no, not the beginning of April, but yeah, that last week of March. So close, but weeks away still. Not so close, months away, right? But still, point remaining. They will top off at different times. I think that we have a good thing going as far as the calculations go. I hope it all makes sense. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one, okay? Take care of yourselves.